So this is a new concept, like archiving data in a multi-user geodatabase. So by using the archiving version version data, so like for example, the first line, uh, you know, is the old parcel. The yellow is like the new one. So because we archive the old parcel, you can see the blue blue row over here. It gives us some temporal information, which is like up to date. Like the first database being archived at this moment. So that's why I say like archiving opens up a new aspect of query capacities by including a temporal context in your data changes. So this part actually emphasizes, but the way to achieve archiving is to uh, build the relies on the versioning. So when navigating through the archive data, table, they have three unique identifiers from date to date, from 2000 January 1st to 2004, and the left side is now retired, so it says 1999, and that's the basic identifier in the table. So there's a differentiating between transactional and historical versions, and this transactional version is actually the version you're working with, and historical version refers to a snapshot of how data looked at a specific point in the past. So it's just another way of like, differentiating the current one you're working with and the archived version. So this video basically like, you know, taught us like you can change the version. Like for example, this version he is currently working on. Like if you just you can manually change the version. You can just change the historical version. You can select specific data and time or do the historical marker. And so like we want access to the all of the archived version, which can have some kind of like specific data and time historical marker, and you want to do everything. So like you can query across a range of dates. You need to add or archive class to the map. So like the step is from geodatabase history toolbar by right click over here and geodatabase history. So and by selecting this layer riverside, and you can just add a total archive data layer into the map. You can change your labeling, and we can do a definition query because that's like it's archive like summary of the archive like everything. So they have some temporal information inside if you open attribute table, but yeah, you can just
Zoning archive, go to the Properties in the Definition Query tab, pull up the Query Builder, and let's say we're interested in seeing all of the features that have been created and archived since the initial inception of that archive. So that's going to be GDB from date. We'll add that to the query string, say greater than, and get unique values. Now, when the archive was initially created, that's going to represent the oldest dates found in the archive. So in this case, January 1st, 2012. So we'll add that. So this should tell us all of the features that have been created since that initial inception of the archive on January 1st, 2012. We'll say OK, and zoom to layer. And as you can see in this simple example, we have 4 features that have been created since the initial inception of the archive. Similarly, we could use the GDB2 date and discover all of the features that have been deleted since the initial inception of the archive.
so all feature updates to the default version. Whether geometric or attribute changes are storing the archive table, the data timestamps. So it's possible for many representation of single feature to exist. For example, this one. So it's C1 has been modified recently, and but before the modification of C1, it was the whole section of the RA5, and you can see there's a temporal change, which is the C1, the RA file was expired in 2022, but the C1 is still, you see, is still currently using. So only one of the references is considered current, and all of the references are available for historical queries. So like whenever you edit something, you see it, it can be reflected in the archive. So you can see there's like boundary over here. So this part kind of important. So like every time you're editing some feature class, for example, you first of all as a feature like expand polygon first, but why at this stage you didn't save that? Well, on the third stage, like you split from the second polygon, but what you save at this stage, the only you see the edits are now saved. You notice there are only the most recent states saved. That means so adding the new polygon, this step would this step is not committed to archive. So just keep in mind. So if you want record every part of the for example you want document precisely all partial change occurred, so you must save to default version for each change on the feature by feature level. Keep in mind if you have your own versioning, so you probably should uh, reconcile first, then you can save to the default, then you can just be reflect in the archive. It's possible to rename an archive class table to the name of your choosing. You can edit an archive class directly. That is no. So read only. Geodatabase archiving records any changes to default version, and information has been posted to the default version. You can use archiving on non-version feature class. If you want to display every archive features that are no longer current, which is retired, you should do this query, gdb2date, which is smaller than because this number is the largest. Like I mean, every retired version, there's like 2 date, but it's gonna be like much smaller than this number. So that's why you can just query every archive feature.